Thank you very much. This meeting of the Blair County Board of Commissioners is called to order. We'll begin with a moment of silent reflection, after which we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are we being joined by anyone remotely, Nicole?
It does not appear to be that we are being joined by anyone remotely, sir.
Very good. Thank you.
Recording has started.
And there goes
How that
the lady we listened for. So, board members have received meeting minute drafts for May 23rd, 25th, 30th, and June 1st. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Commissioner Webster, I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. They are approved, and we'll move to item 6 and public comment. Hearing none, we are moving on then to item 7. This will be the last of our County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania legislative priorities for county government, broadband access and development, and Commissioner Webster will be speaking for us today. Commissioner Webster.
Thank you very much. Pennsylvania's future will largely be shaped by properly addressing the expansion of broadband within the Commonwealth. Currently, the challenges that we face are preventing residents and businesses from accessing information, medical help, economic opportunities, and other vital issues and services that should be readily available. IT is therefore a priority of CCAP and of the Blair County Board of Commissioners that we continue to work with the state and with the federal governments and community partners to provide the infrastructure and availability for all of our people to have access to affordable and reliable internet connections and service. As technology has exploded almost all aspects of our lives, emergency services, business, healthcare, and education have become dependent upon the use of the internet. In particular, we see that the pandemic has broadened the use of the internet in all these areas as well as in others. In order to be competitive in attracting new business, new residents, and new opportunities to our area, we need to have a robust internet available. Here in Blair County, we still have areas that are unserved or underserved. CCAP supports collaboration with federal, state, local, and private entities to develop broadband expansion so that we have the maximum resources available. Blair County has joined with surrounding counties with similar accessibility issues in order to plan and create a network that will serve us well into the future. CCAP supports identifying funding sources to support that network. Blair County is seeking funding through the collaborative that we are a part of with our neighboring counties. CCAP's recommendations are all about collaboration. This is an enormous project and will be only feasible if we continue to work together with our neighboring counties to fund broadband expansion by obtaining and efficiently using all the grant opportunities available to us. Not only do we need to address these immediate needs, but we also must plan for the future expansion and upgrades that will be necessary so that Blair County is not left behind as other areas continue to advance. To date, Blair County has committed $50,000 towards the study to determine how to proceed and what projects will be viable in cooperation with Bedford, Cambria, Fulton, Huntingdon, and Somerset counties. The first phase of the project included installing and additional equipment to existing towers to provide internet opportunities to approximately 1,600 properties. The next phase could include constructing additional towers if that would be an effective use of funds. The ultimate goal is to create a fiber network infrastructure. The goal is to make sure every Pennsylvanian has access to reliable, affordable, and robust internet service. This is particularly important to us here in Blair County, where topography and sparse population do not make installation of internet an attractive endeavor for most of the big nationwide internet providers. Blair County cannot do this alone. We need the financial support of the state and federal governments. Broadband expansion is of utmost importance for economic growth and will give us the ability to compete for businesses and jobs. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Webster. It may be the last priority we discussed, but it's certainly every bit as important as the other five. Commissioner Webster mentioned the county's membership in Allegheny's Broadband, Inc., who commissioned a study on fiber from the Foresight Group. The draft study, I understand, is back to ABI at this point in time, which will essentially lay out the not only the needs and what the structure needs to look like, but also estimate what the cost of that is. We have reserved, or at least in our minds, some of our American Rescue Plan Act money to help toward that broadband effort. There's a lot of grant money out there, but the cost of getting fiber throughout Blair County will be millions and millions of dollars, and so it's going to have to be, as Commissioner Webster said, a collaborative effort, not only of county government, but the state broadband authority and others in the private and other public sectors in order to come together to make this happen. It's our big chance to play catch up and get ahead, and so we need to take advantage of that in years ahead. Nicole, can you take us through the unfinished business, please?
Sure. The first resolution for your consideration today is number 268. That's approving a federal fiscal year 22-23 contract between the County of Blair and Center for Community Action in the total amount of $5,952,646.65. But the contract does allow for a maximum amount of $5.98 million for the period of July 1st through June 30th, 2023.
I'll make a motion for the adoption of Resolution 268. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Resolution 269 is approving a fiscal year 22-23 memorandum of understanding between the County of Blair, the Adult Drug Court and DUI Treatment Court, and the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts for the exception of the discretionary grant funds in the total amount of $5,194 for the drug court, and the total amount of $4,044 for the Blair County DUI Treatment Court.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 269?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Resolution 270 is approving an agreement between the County of Blair, Blair County Department of Emergency Services, and Compros in the total amount of $165,522.25 for the 22-23 upgrades to the Blair County 911 EIM SMS services that include the CDR parts and labor for migration to the state of Pennsylvania, paid with statewide interconnectivity grant funds.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 270?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. Is there any discussion?
Just great that we got grant funds for it. Always good.
Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Resolution 271 is approving a fiscal year 22-23 memorandum of understanding between the County of Blair on behalf of Blair County Children, Youth, and Families and Kids First affiliated services as outlined on your agenda.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 271?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion? In favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution 272 is approving a fiscal year 22-23 purchase of service agreement and HIPAA business associate agreement between the County of Blair on behalf of Children, Youth, and Families and Kids First Affiliated Services, LLC, for the period of July 1st, 22 through June 30th, 23.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 272?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that. Is there any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Resolution 273 is approving an agreement for payment of legal services between the County of Blair on behalf of Children, Youth, and Families and Thomas Hooper, an attorney with BMZ Law, Hollidaysburg, PA, for guardian ad litem services in the total monthly amount of $2,100 for the period of July 1st, 22 through June 30th, 23.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 273?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution 274 is approving a fiscal year 22-23 purchase of service agreement between the County of Blair on behalf of Children, Youth, and Families and E.B. Black Attorneys, Hollidaysburg, PA, for consultative and court appearance legal representation at the hourly rate of $120 per hour as outlined on your agenda.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 274?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Is there any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution 275 is approving the award of bid for the Blair County Prison Security Upgrade Project to Montgomery Technology Systems, LLC. The lowest responsible bidder meeting specifications in the total bid amount of $1,376,900.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 275?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion?
I do have one piece of information to share with the commissioners that was not shared on Tuesday. We do plan, and this was contemplated and in the 2017 bond project, I can tell you that there is approximately that amount. Unfortunately, with Lindsay on vacation and Brandon in Children and Youth, I wasn't able to verify the exact amount in the bond. Cash balance of the account is $1.6 million. Not unfortunately, I mean, but we do have projects that are contemplated in that $1.6 million amount still. I'm encumbering that money. One of them is the staircase project, so I'm assuming I'm taking off some there for that and doing some rough math, but we have anywhere between $1.2 to $1.3 million. So we're going to come up a little bit shy, but we'll cover that in other ways when we get to that point.
No, that's a good thing to share, and I think that's, again, appropriately and finally we're getting this done. So.
This should exhaust that bond then
Yes,
once
well.
we're done.
And it's good to have all these projects. I think that they get them done. It's wonderful.
All right, is there any other discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved.
Resolution 276 of 2023 is approving a service contract between the County of Blair, Blair County Prison, and Valley Proteins as outlined on your agenda.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 276?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Resolution 277 is approving an agreement between the County of Blair on behalf of the Blair County Prison and Rebecca Port for providing hair trimming services to inmates at the inmate's expense at $12 per person.
Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 277?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Is there any discussion? In favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Resolution 278 is approving a service contract between the County of Blair and Boyer Refrigeration, Heating, and Air Conditioning to perform service work for all county buildings at the time and materials rate outlined in the contract. You will notice that we did add another line there to this resolution that no work will be performed without Boyer Refrigeration quote signed by the building maintenance director or the chief clerk authorizing Boyer to proceed with the work. That was something that I asked Jim to add to the contract prior to today's passing of the contract. So I wanted to bring your attention to that.
Very good. Is there a motion for the adoption of Resolution 278?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Is there any other discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As approved, we've reached the end of unfinished business. We have no old business, but we do have one item of new business today on the stair tower project. And Nicole, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Thank you. Yes, we received a letter from Albarano Incorporated. This is to request a further extension to the to the staircase project. If you remember, this will be our second time extension. One other MOU on the project was to transfer some of their balance directly to Altoona Pipe and Steel, that the county would pay directly Altoona Pipe and Steel. The second one was to move it from some date, I believe in March, it was 180 days after the contract was signed, to June 9th, which is tomorrow. If any members of the public haven't been in the parking garage, I can give you an update to that. Stair Tower B, which is the first one they started on, which is closest to Keller and closest to Strawberry Alley, was just reopened this week on Tuesday evening for foot traffic to come up and down that. That was the first stair tower to be replaced. It was closed sometime mid-March for that construction. They would be moving on to Stair Tower A. Right now, I can tell you that isn't even fenced in yet. It's not even closed. So obviously that project is not even underway, which is what prompted Mr. Albarano's letter to the Board of Commissioners. He is requesting an extension of the project from June 9th to August 4th, 2023. I spoke with him yesterday. I had sent him an email about 2 weeks ago and requested some documentation for the reason for closure. I asked him for a new timeline, why he thought August 4th was going to be a good day. I think that he provided it in the past. It wasn't anything that I'm asking for that hasn't been provided in the past. So I wanted an update to that timeline, as well as some sort of consideration on why we are extending for a second period of time. He referenced some things in the letter, but it wasn't really clear because we have materials on site. I'm not sure that citing material delays is really an adequate excuse to ask for that extension. I also, when I spoke to Mr. Albarano, who had missed my email in his account, so giving him the benefit of the doubt there, I offered him to come to the meeting today to explain the extension. He is obviously not here today to do that. At this time, I don't know that I would recommend a change order through August 4th. I think given the light of the email being missed in Mr. Albarano's and him not being able to gather those documents and revise those timelines for today's meeting, perhaps maybe a 2-week extension to June 23rd would be appropriate so we can have a chance to get those documents in hand. But I think we owe it to both the employees and the taxpayers to get this project wrapped up. This contract does contemplate liquid damages in 4.03. That is $800 per day that the contract is not substantial, or that the project is not substantially complete.
Nicole, I think that's a very good recommendation. I'm a little disappointed we don't have that timeline because, again, we have materials that seems us, and I'm certainly no expert in construction, but that seems like 8 weeks to do that seems maybe excessive. And again, those are important for our employees to have that. We will say this: the first stairwell that's done on Strawberry Alley was done very well. I think we're very pleased with the outcome of that, and it was certainly a significant improvement from where we were, but now we need to get this done on a timely basis. Mr. Webster, would you be comfortable with doing the 2-week extension?
I am. I've seen the timeline because being involved with the building and maintenance, I've been a part of all of that. And I too have questions why we're at this point. I know that we have the materials and it's just, we've had great weather, so I don't understand why, but being that I don't want to just say, oh yes, August 4th is great. I think a couple of weeks would be something that is reasonable.
One other thing to mention that would be important for the board to know, we do have a permit by Hollidaysburg Borough to complete that work. And some of these delays were due to our part. We applied for that permit and weren't quite ready to put that out to bid. So I do understand that a couple of the extensions on the permit were the county's responsibility. But I will mention that the last time we requested in February an extension to the permit, we were granted that 5th and 6th extension to start construction on the subject permit has been granted. The permit is now valid till October 21st. And the very important line in that letter is, please be advised that this will be the last extension for your permit. So ultimately, this project absolutely has to come to a close, be inspected by Hollidaysburg Borough, and be ready for occupancy by October 21st, 2023. So it's very important to remember that this project does need to stay on time from here on out.
Mr. Webster, would you like to make a motion to provide a extension of a much shorter time period?
Much shorter, yes. I would make a motion that we approve a 2-week extension. Wait a minute, before we do that though, we do have to discuss probably one other thing. There is the issue of the damages. Is part of his request that we waive that?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to just go ahead and waive it without understanding a little bit more from him as to why he feels that we should. But by the same token, I don't want to create a problem here. Do we
I
have?
think we can do this without.
Without even
addressing
addressing
I
this?
mean, we're essentially in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, I would anticipate for next Tuesday we will have something that I would certainly hope.
So I think, to be clear, I think we're giving a 2-week extension to the project, which, when we give the 2-week extension, does allow the damages, the liquidated damages, to pause until that time period. I think what you would do is, or my recommendation would be to give the 2-week extension for an explanation on why or maybe a better date than August 4th, or a more substantial completion date by August 4th. Provide backup and better documentation on why you need that, or why that date was chosen. So I don't think this would be the last time you talk about this at a meeting, but I think, providing the 2-week grace period would allow him to provide those documents to you to make a better informed decision of the actual true completion date.
All right, I think we were thinking of two different things, but I'll make a motion that we extend the time for Mr. Alvarado and Sons organization to provide with us a timeline and information as to how to justify the request that they have made for a second time extension for a period of 2 weeks.
Do you want to put a finer, I'm sorry, Commissioner, do you want to put a finer date on it? June 23rd is the Friday, so it would be 2 weeks and 1 day is June 23rd if you wanted to do that.
Why don't we go to the 22nd, because the board will meet that day.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I was going to say
That's
it
fine.
would be best.
June 22nd? Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, you're okay with that?
I'm fine with that,
I'll second Commissioner Webster's motion. Is there any other discussion? Those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
yes.
Aye. It's approved. Thank you, Nicole, for the report and the work on that. We've reached the end of our agenda. If there are no objections, we're going to adjourn at this time. Thank everybody for their participation in today's meeting. Have a great day.